Chad and I drove the 20 minutes to Georgetown, to the Shady River RV resort, where just 48 hours ago, the Central Texas flooding came in and just wiped out everything. The floodwaters rose so quickly, they only had a couple hours to get out. I just spoke to the owner. He said that it was really scary. They saw the water starting to breach the berm back here that we're gonna go check out, and by the time the water started coming over, it had just completely taken them over. They said that all of a sudden there was trees floating down the river, which is just on the other side of this berm. By the time they saw the water breaching the berm, they had about 10 minutes before the water had risen 4 feet. As you can see behind me, there's just tons of RVs upset, upside down, completely obliterated. So many people here lost everything. Thank God there were no human casualties. Our hearts go out to all of those people that are lost and still missing in Kerrville. And we spoke to a couple of the RV owners here, and they said, they don't want to take anything away from all the relief efforts going on down around Kerrville, but they're crushed. They have nowhere to go. I just spoke to a man that said he spent his entire lump sum on his RV just a few months ago.
I moved here about March. I got my disability. My lump sum, I bought the trailer. Give me somewhere to stay. I lost everything back home just last year, so I was starting over here. Had a hard time sleeping the night before because of the rain and everything. Knew, the seriousness of everything. Had finally gotten to sleep. The next day, somebody woke me up banging on my trailer. Said we needed to evacuate now. It was coming. I looked out and I could see trees floating down the river. I immediately just grabbed my dog, went and put her in the car, moved my car in a safe place, moved my truck out of the way, went to buttoning up my trailer to try and get it out. At that time, they're pulling meters and everything. Without the electricity, I wasn't able to let my jacks down. And it was stuck there. Nobody could get it out. We couldn't get the jacks to come down. I had to walk away. About that time, it was coming over the levee. It rose 4 foot in just a matter of 10 minutes. It was in my trailer. It took everything I had to walk away from everything that I have, because everything I own is in that trailer. I'm lucky to get out. I'm happy to get out, and I know a lot of people lost their lives. A lot of kids, it's devastating. I've never seen anything like this. You think, it's being in it, you can latch up to a truck and just take off with it. You can do that, but things like this happen, man, you don't realize how much little time you have.
For those of you who are not super familiar with the RV world, sometimes it's not as simple as just driving away or pulling up your stakes and moving on. Like, getting out in a rig sometimes is a process, and especially if you're a full-timer, some of these people, they tried to get out, but there was just not time. They had maybe 10 minutes to get their people out of here. And so, unfortunately, they have lost everything.
We have lived in Shady River RV Resort for the last 5 years. We moved in pretty soon after my daughter was born. It was the right choice for our family, and it's still the right choice even after all of this. Yesterday at about 7:30, we got the notice to evacuate. There were cops knocking on people's doors and everything.
There's a flood coming, get out.
We got dressed, we got in the car, and we left, and we tried to come back and hitch up the trailer, but by the time we got back to it, the waters were already coming over the berm. There's like a raised hill that they put up to try and stop the water, but there was no stopping that water. We came back around noon. The waters were up to the road, basically, and our RV was floating from, 100 or so feet that way. We were parked over there, and it's landed all the way over here in this RV pile up here.
So as you can see, the floodwaters were all the way up to the top of the slide outs here. And so everything inside is just completely ruined.
The biggest thing through all of this is that we all made it out. We're all okay, and that's all we need to keep going. All this is just stuff. We'll fix it. We'll replace it.
This RV that you see behind me, this belongs to a full-time RVer, and he was so busy helping everybody else get out of here that he did not have time to get out his own home, and he has basically lost everything. The owner of the RV park is putting him up in a nearby hotel, and he said that he's going to keep him there until either the man finds a place to stay or he runs out of money. The devastation here is just overwhelming. Overwhelming.
We'll get through it with support from our community and everybody that's come together to show us love and support. It's been incredible.
We ask the RV community now, we know that you are a community of neighbors that stretch across the United States. So we ask, however you can help, we ask that you would try, because this is just heartbreaking.
You never know when it's your time or when something like this can happen and take everything away from you.
So we're doing our best here. There's not a whole lot we can do. I mean, as you see, the devastation is more than we can handle ourselves. We haven't been a part of this community for very long. We only became full-time RVers a week or so ago, but we've been traveling in the RV community now since 2018. And one thing I have learned is that even though we might not know each other, somehow this community has neighbors that stretch across the country. And so we're reaching out to you, and dig inside your hearts, man, and these are your neighbors. You know, these are the people that you camp next to. They've lost everything. And we're starting a GoFundMe, and we ask that you would just give whatever you can, even if it's $1. We ask that you would just help. We ask that you would just help any way you can, because I mean, these people, they have no way to rebuild.